Coming to you live from the city of Phoenix, Arizona. And we are live. Stormer Show is back. Alright. Thank you guys for watching. Whew. I'm feeling okay today. I think my plan is Sapiens. I read and open discussion. War and Peace. And then by the time I get through with the reading for today, it should be about time for the PlayStation Showcase. You can take a look. See what Sony has to offer in the future. I haven't really in the past played a lot of Sony games. Recent memory, I played through some of the God of War games. Metal Gear Solid, obviously. Just great games. I hope they've got more games like that on PlayStation. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Let's see, what else comes to mind when I think of PlayStation? Crash Bandicoot. Horizon. Hold on, guys. Zero Dawn. Yeah, PlayStation's known for its great games. And yeah, I followed gameplay footage of some of the bigger games, but yeah, I don't yet have a PS5, so I'm just gonna have to see what the games are like and see if I can get them on PC. But in any case, I'm still practicing piano, guys. Trying to learn a song called Ballade right now. I'm not ready, I think, to play it on stream yet. I'd say stand by on that. Okay. Yeah, I'm making good progress, I'd say, but it'll probably take me another day or two of practice before I'm ready to showcase it. And I'm just working on one section at a time. Okay, let me take a look at the news real quick. Flight lands in Qatar after Taliban cleared Americans and others to leave Afghanistan. It's been likened to Syria in the sense that it's just hard to change. It's hard to make other people think the same way we do. It's hard to introduce them to our way of life. I think Yuval would probably have some insight on this too. It's like some wars are just unwinnable. And even if you could win the war, would you really want to? What implications would it have if we wiped out their entire civilization? Much the same way Cortez did the Aztecs. It's like some things don't need to be lost and shouldn't be lost to time. But anyway, yeah. It's not the end of the world that we pulled out of Afghanistan. Hopefully now Biden can refocus on the needs of Americans. Coronavirus is still an issue here. Yeah. Life is hard for a lot of people, myself included. Biden set the vaccine requirements for federal workers, private companies. The vaccine, I haven't gotten it yet. I doubt I'll need it. Too dang strong. Too dang young. Too dang healthy. Physically, anyway. Emotionally, it's like my emotions fight. It's like a war inside. Like, as long as I'm fighting that war, I don't have to worry about getting sick. It's hard to describe. It's like you just know you're gonna make it. Like, some of us just know we're gonna make it. It's like, I don't need the vaccine. I'm gonna make it. Whatever that means. In another article, the US is averaging 1,500 COVID deaths a day for the first time since March. And I'm not among them. Not even close. EPA to protect Alaska's Bristol Bay, blocking major gold mine. I think it's good. Yeah, maybe I can bring up some of the news articles for you guys that I'm looking at. I think Kindle's still installed. Alright, hold on, guys. If it is, it can be like a read along, and if not, I'll just read it to you guys. I'm just seeing if it's the case. Yeah, it is installed on my other PC, but it looks like it's not installed on this one. It's okay. Yeah, I'm still working out a lot of stream details. A lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes of the stream is the stuff that I'm still trying to figure out. It's like, yeah, we learn a lot from our parents, and a lot of it gets carried over to us. My dad's never really been tech savvy, and in some ways I'm like him. In some ways I'm very tech savvy, but in some ways I'm not. And a lot of the like back end design stuff I'm still figuring out. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me, guys. The stream itself is going to be a work in progress from a technical perspective, but from a content perspective, hopefully I'm making fast progress. First came a quake in Mexico, then strange blue lights. People feared the apocalypse. I might be able to pull up the article on NPR, as a matter of fact. This showcase is going to be in 46 minutes, so why not? Hold the phone, folks, hold the phone. Okay, here it is. Alright, let me try. Okay. Here's the article I'm looking at. Dang. So go driving off that. Yeah. Although the road itself doesn't really look well paved. A magnitude 7.1 earthquake shook Acapulco, Mexico on Wednesday. Miércoles. After the quake, Mexicans shared videos of bursts of blue light streaking across the sky. Yeah, we can take a look. It's reminiscent, I would say, of lightning, the blue lights that are happening. Yeah, it's an earthquake. Waiting for the end of the world. Who sings that song? Waiting for the end of the world. Yeah, sometimes my memory's just like not that good. I think I'm thinking of an old song. It's Elvis Costello. There you go. Yeah, sorry guys. Waiting for the end of the world. Yeah, they're stuck inside the car. Those people were. Okay, anyway. They're sharing spectacular videos of bursts of blue light seen streaking across the skies as a strong earthquake rocked the country's Pacific coast city of Acapulco on Wednesday. 7.0 magnitude quake struck some 11 miles northeast of the city in the southwestern state of Guerrero. At least one person was killed. Buildings were damaged and rock slides littered a major highway, but the temblor didn't cause widespread damage. It did rattle nerves, though. The earthquake could be felt some 200 miles away in the Mexico City. That's the capital of Mexico City, and lasted nearly a minute. Residents fled into the streets as buildings swayed, sidewalks undulated, and the blue lights burst brilliantly in the sky. Twitter users posted videos of the blue flashes. Earthquakes. They occur because tectonic plates are colliding with one another, and they like rub against each other. It's been a long time since I was learning about earthquakes in college, but it's based on seismic activity. It's like those plates, when they collide, that's what causes that earthquake. And there's a lot of science behind it, like fault lines. Yeah, I'd say if there is an earthquake, the first and most important thing to remember is don't panic. Get to a safe place. There's like safe areas inside you can stay. Like In a doorway is one place you can stay. Underneath like a desk or table is another area that you can wait, so that way you're not hit by things that are falling down during the earthquake. Yeah, I mean, if it's a big enough earthquake, it might be safest to go outside in a clear area, because a collapsing building is, yeah, it's pretty dangerous. Rutgers University physicist Troy Shimbra says not to worry. The blue lights are not a sign of the world coming to an end. If it did, the apocalypse would have happened 1,000 years ago, when this was first discovered, said Shimbra. In an interview with NPR, he said the phenomenon of so-called earthquake lights has been recorded historically and occurs fairly regularly. Some scientists believe the eruption of light or luminosity is caused by the friction of rocks near the Earth's crust, as I said, rubbing together, which releases energy into the atmosphere. As I was saying, it's been a while since I learned about geology. It's like study of earthquakes. It's been like 10 years, not quite 10, yeah, actually, it's been about 10 years. You're just the scientifically curious. Oh, whoops, skipped ahead. Shimbra has tried to recreate the phenomenon in his lab, and says he has measured voltage changes similar to what happens when Earth's crust slips in an earthquake. Sometimes the plates go under the others, like they slide underneath. He urges the scientifically curious to take a roll of adhesive tape into a dark closet and quickly peel back a strip. Shimbrat says a glow of light will be emitted, but he cautions not to relate earthquake lights, or EQL, and the adhesive tape experiment too closely, since there's still a lot scientists don't know. I think that this phenomenon is somewhat related to the effect of electrons. It's like static electricity. But yeah, I would say it's things that we can't see. We see the effects. A group of electrons, electricity. I believe that's the effect. It's created by that effect. There's disagreement about what actually causes the flashes. The U.S. Geological Survey makes it clear on its website, stating, geophysicists differ on the extent to which they think that individual reports of unusual lighting near the time and epicenter of an earthquake actually represent EQL. National Autonomous University of Mexico seismologist Victor Manuel Cruz Atienza does believe in the phenomenon, but says last night's sky was full of a lot of electrical activity for a rainstorm. Exactly. Electricity, electrical. I think he's on the right track. We can't for sure associate the earthquake with the light show that we saw last night, especially given the rainstorm we were experiencing, he told NPR. He said it was difficult for him to distinguish the difference on several videos he saw making the rounds on social media. Both scientists agree that there will likely be more chances to see blue flashes across Mexico's skies. Many Mexicans are pointing out that most probably will happen sometime during September, not December. That's when many of Mexico's greatest quakes have hit, including 8.2 magnitude trembler that struck the state of Oaxaca 4 years ago on September 7, 2017, and Mexico City's destructive 8.0 quake on September 19, 1985. That got Twitter users a buzz, renaming the month Septiembre. Like tumble. September. A combination of September and tremble in Spanish. Yeah, tremble or tumble. Precisely. Okay, let's see. Where are we in time? 35 minutes, guys. Alright, hold on a minute. There we go. Okay, let me take a look. Look in Sapiens. Alrighty, Columbus searches for an investor. That's the chapter I'm on, guys and girls, folks. Capitalism played a decisive role not only in the rise of modern science, but also in the emergence of European imperialism. Imperialism is when, like, a country tries to extend its influence, control new lands, new countries. It's like the formation of an empire. It's a good way to think of imperialism. And it was European imperialism that created the capitalist credit system in the first place. Of course, credit was not invented in modern Europe. It existed in almost all agricultural societies. In the early modern period, the emergence of European capitalism was closely linked to economic developments in Asia. Remember, too, that until the late 18th century, Asia was the world's economic powerhouse, meaning that Europeans had far less capital at their disposal than the Chinese, Muslims, or Indians. Yeah, it's like the East and West have been in a race for as long as I can remember. However, in the socio-political systems of China, India, and the Muslim world, credit played only a secondary role. Merchants and bankers in the markets of Istanbul, Isfahan, Delhi, and Beijing may have thought along capitalist lines. But the kings and generals in the palaces and forts tended to despise merchants and mercantile thinking. Most non-European empires of the early modern era were established by great conquerors such as Nurhaki and Nader Shah, or by bureaucratic and military elites, as in the King and Ottoman empires. It's like the person running the military, generals. Military rulers became political rulers. I learned that was the case for Napoleon too. Like when I was looking into him following War and Peace in our reading, it's like you can see him in a lot of pictures, like actually on the battlefield. Take that to mean what you will. Over time, it's like political leaders have grown further and further from the battlefront. Higher chance of longevity that way. Most non-European empires of the early modern era were established by great conquerors. Yep. They owed little to credit systems, and they cared even less about the interests of bankers and investors. Wars were financed through taxes and plunder. Yeah. Even in World War II, there was a lot of looting happening. In Europe, on the other hand, kings and generals gradually adopted the mercantile way of thinking, until merchants and bankers became the ruling elite. European conquest of the world was increasingly financed through credit rather than taxes, and was increasingly directed by capitalists whose main ambition was to receive maximum returns on their investments. ROI. The empires built by bankers and merchants in frock coats and top hats defeated the empires built by kings and noblemen in gold clothes and shining armor. The mercantile empires were simply much shrewder in financing their conquests. Nobody wants to pay taxes, but everyone's happy to invest. guess it has to do with like ways of thinking. It's like, how do you see it? Do you see it as someone taking your money, or do you see it as it going to a good cause? In 1484, Christopher Columbus approached the King of Portugal with the proposal that he finance a fleet that would sail westward to find a new trade route to East Asia. Such explorations were a very risky and costly business. A lot of money was needed in order to build ships, buy supplies, and pay sailors and soldiers. There was no guarantee that the investment would yield a return. The King of Portugal declined. It's like rulers will have a better belief in it if they can see the financial future. Like a present-day startup entrepreneur, Columbus did not give up. He pitched his idea to other potential investors in Italy, France, England, and again in Portugal. Each time he was rejected. He then tried his luck with Ferdinand and Isabella, rulers of newly united Spain. He took on some experienced lobbyists, and with their help he managed to convince Queen Isabella to invest. As every schoolchild knows, Isabella hit the jackpot. Columbus' discoveries enabled the Spaniards to conquer America, where they established gold and silver mines as well as sugar and tobacco plantations that enriched the Spanish kings, bankers, and merchants beyond their wildest dreams. It's like sometimes fortune's in the last place you expect to look. In this case, America. "100 years later, princes and bankers were willing to extend far more credit to Columbus's successors, and they had more capital at their disposal thanks to the treasures reaped from America. Equally important, princes and bankers had far more trust in the potential of exploration, and were more willing to part with their money. This was the magic circle of imperial capitalism. Credit financed new discoveries. Discoveries led to colonies. Colonies provided profits. Profits build trust. And trust translated into more credit. As I keep saying and encouraging on my stream, it's like open-mindedness. That was the key. That's what you were saying here too. Capitalist entrepreneurs only increase their financial momentum from quest to conquest. I may only have time to finish this chapter, guys. In the name of capital. Let's see, where was I? Conquest. Okay, hold on. Hold on, folks. Yeah, we got 26 minutes here before the showcase. So, let me speed up. There we go. Alright, but these expeditions remain chancy affairs, so credit markets nevertheless remain quite cautious. Many expeditions returned to Europe empty-handed, having discovered nothing of value. The English, for instance, wasted a lot of capital in fruitless attempts to discover a northwestern passage to Asia through the Arctic. Many other expeditions didn't return at all. Ships hit icebergs, foundered in tropical storms, or fell victim to pirates. Ahoy, mateys. Pirates. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. In order to increase the number of potential investors and reduce the risk they incurred, Europeans turned to limited liability joint stock companies. This is all business. Instead of a single investor betting all his money on a single rickety ship, the joint stock company collected money from large money from a large number of investors, each risking only a small portion of his capital. Risks were thereby curtailed, but no cap was placed on the profits. Even a small investment in the right chip could turn you into a millionaire. Decade by decade, Western Europe witnessed the development of a sophisticated financial system that could raise large amounts of credit on short notice and put it at the disposal of private entrepreneurs and governments. The system could finance explorations and conquests far more efficiently than any kingdom or empire. The newfound power of credit can be seen in bitter struggle between Spain and the Netherlands. In the 16th century, Spain was the most powerful state in Europe, holding sway over a vast global empire. It ruled much of Europe, huge chunks of North and South America, the Philippine Islands, and a string of bases along the coast of Africa and Asia. Asian treasures returned to the ports of Seville and Cadiz. The Netherlands was a small and windy swamp, devoid of natural resources, a small corner of the King of Spain's dominions. 1568, the Dutch, who were mainly Protestant, revolted against their Catholic Spanish overlord. At first, the rebels seemed to display the role of Don Quixote, the man of La Mancha. To go where the brave dare not go, that is my quest. No matter how near, no matter how far, courageously tilting at invincible windmills. It's like he said he would fight one for Dulcinea. Within 80 years, the Dutch had not only secured their independence from Spain, but had managed to replace the Spaniards and their Portuguese allies as masters of the ocean highways, built a global Dutch empire, and became the richest state in Europe. The secret of Dutch success was credit. The Dutch burghers, who had little taste for combat on land, hired mercenary armies to fight the Spanish for them. The Dutch themselves, meanwhile, took to the sea in ever larger fleets. Mercenary armies and cannon-brandishing fleets cost a fortune. But the Dutch were able to finance their military expeditions more easily than the mighty Spanish Empire because they secured the trust of the burgeoning European financial system at a time when the Spanish king was carelessly eroding trust in him. Financiers extended the Dutch enough credit to set up armies and fleets, and these armies and fleets gave the Dutch control of world trade routes, which in turn yielded handsome profits. These profits allowed the Dutch to repay the loans, which strengthened the trust of the financiers. It was like a big circle, a big cycle. Amsterdam was fast becoming not only the most important ports in Europe, but also the continent's financial mecca. How exactly did the Dutch win the trust of the financial system? Firstly, they were sticklers about repaying the loans on time and in full, making the extension of credit less risky for lenders. Secondly, their country's judicial system enjoyed independence and protected private rights, in particular private property rights. Capital trickles away from dictatorial states that fail to defend private individuals and their property. Yep, it's about where we live. Instead, it flows into states upholding the rule of law and private property. Imagine that you're the son of a solid family of German financiers. Your father sees an opportunity to expand the business by opening branches in major European cities. He sends you to Amsterdam and your younger brother to Madrid, giving you each 10,000 gold coins to invest. Your brother lends his startup capital at interest to the King of Spain, who needs it to raise an army to fight the King of France. You decide to lend yours to a Dutch merchant who wants to invest in scrubland on the southern end of a desolate island called Manhattan, certain that property values there will skyrocket as the Hudson River turns into a major trade artery. Both loans are to be repaid within a year. The year passes. The Dutch merchant sells the land he's bought at a handsome markup and repays your money with the interest he promised. Your father is pleased, but your little brother in Madrid is getting nervous. The war with France ended well for a king of Spain, but he has now embroiled himself in a conflict with the Turks. He needs every penny to finance the new war. and thinks that this is far more important than repaying old debts. Your brother sends letters to the palace and asks friends with connections at court to intercede, but to no avail. Not only has your brother not earned the promised interest, he's lost the principal. Your father is not pleased. Now, to make matters worse, the king sends a treasury official to your brother to tell him, in no uncertain terms, that he expects to receive another loan of the same size forthwith. Your brother has no money to lend. He writes home to Dad, trying to persuade him that this time the king will come through. The paterfamilias has a soft spot for his youngest and agrees with a heavy heart. Another 10,000 gold coins disappear into the Spanish treasury, never to be seen again. Meanwhile, in Amsterdam, things are looking bright. You make more and more loans to enterprising Dutch merchants who repay them promptly and in full. But your luck does not hold indefinitely. One of your usual clients, my clients, yes, has a hunch that wooden clogs are going to be the next fashion craze in Paris. And asks you for a loan to set up footwear emporium in the French capital. You lend him the money, but unfortunately the clogs don't catch on with the French ladies, and the disgruntled merchant refuses to repay the loan. Clogs like shoes, kind of. Your father is furious and tells both of you it's time to unleash the Loyas. Your brother files suit in Madrid against the Spanish monarch, while you file suit in Amsterdam against the erstwhile wooden shoe wizard. In Spain, the law courts are subservient to the king. The judges serve at his pleasure and fear punishment if they do not do his will. In the Netherlands, the courts are a separate branch of government, not dependent on the country's burghers and princes. The court in Madrid throws out your brother's suit, while the court in Amsterdam finds your favor and puts a lien on the clog merchant's assets to force him to pay up. Your father has learned his lesson. Better to do business with merchants than with kings, and better to do it in Holland than in Madrid. Yeah, business and credit makes for dry reading, no doubt about it. Your father's had enough. He pays the ransom for his beloved son, but swears never to do business in Spain again. He closes the Madrid branch and relocates your brother to Rotterdam. 2 branches in Holland now look like a really good idea. He hears that even Spanish capitalists are smuggling their fortunes out of their country. They too realize that if you want to keep money and use it to gain more wealth, you're better off investing it where the rule of law prevails and where private property is respected. In the Netherlands, for example. In such ways did the King of Spain squander the trust of investors at the same time that Dutch merchants gained their confidence. It was the Dutch merchants, not the Dutch state, who built the Dutch Empire. It's like the businesses. Give them a nickel's worth, and they'll repay you in dollars. The King of Spain kept on trying to finance and maintain his conquest by raising unpopular taxes from a disgruntled populace. Taxes are how the government creates revenue. Yeah, I would say businesses are more predisposed to the creation of revenue through value. How do we give value? How do we create value? Yeah. They finance conquest by getting loans. The merchants did, the Dutch merchants. And increasingly also by selling shares in their companies that entitled their holders to receive a portion of the company's profits. Cautious investors who would never have given their money to the King of Spain, who would have thought twice before extending credit to the Dutch government, happily invested fortunes in the Dutch joint stock companies that were the mainstay of the new empire. If you thought a company was going to make a big profit, but it had already sold all of its shares, you could buy some from people who own them, probably for a higher price than they originally paid. People are always trying to make a buck. You can always take advantage of that by buying low and selling high. If you bought shares and later discovered that the company was in dire straits, you could try to unload your stock for a lower price. The resulting trading company shares led to the establishment of most major European cities of stock exchanges, places where the shares of companies were traded. The most famous Dutch joint stock company, the Verenigde Oosting. Again, this is not a language I speak, so apologies for any flaws in pronunciation. Verenigde Oostingische Compagnie, or VOC for short, was chartered in 1602. Just as the Dutch were throwing off Spanish rule, and the boom of Spanish artillery could still be heard not far from Amsterdam's ramparts. VOC used the money it raised from selling shares to build ships, send them to Asia, and bring back Chinese, Indian, and Indonesian goods. It also financed military actions taken by company ships against competitors and pirates. Eventually, VOC money financed the conquest of Indonesia. Indonesia is the world's biggest archipelago. Its thousands upon thousands of islands were ruled in the early 17th century by hundreds of kingdoms, principalities, sultanates, and tribes. When VOC merchants first arrived in Indonesia in 1603, their aims were strictly commercial. However, in order to secure their commercial interests and maximize the profits of the shareholders, VOC merchants began to fight against local potentates, who charged inflated tariffs, as well as against European competitors. VOC armed its merchant ships with cannons, it recruited European, Japanese, Indian, and Indonesian mercenaries. It built forts, conducted full-scale battles and sieges. The enterprise may sound a little strange to us, but in the early modern age it was common for private companies to hire not only soldiers but also generals and admirals, cannons and ships, and even entire off-the-shelf armies. The international community took this for It's like the history PlayStation 5. I still don't know what it is.
I'm Jim Ryan, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and welcome to the PlayStation Showcase. At PlayStation, we believe in pushing boundaries and setting the benchmark for creativity and excellence in entertainment. We always love the opportunity to speak directly with our community. The new technology in PS5 enables development teams to build more exciting, immersive, and compelling worlds, showcasing their creative vision as storytellers. We've never been more grateful for the PlayStation community. So thank you for allowing us time to share some significant updates and brand new content. So without further ado, let's look at some new and amazing games.
Let's check them out. Let's check them out.
Peace is a lie. That is what the Sith believe. They promise power. Now they wield it. We face the greatest Sith in generations. They must be stopped.
돌보신 어머니시여, 저희는 지구를 지키지 못했습니다. 적들을 물리치고 인류를 구원하려는 신성한 의무를 다하지 못하였습니다. 하지만 이제 저희가 다시 내려와 남은 목숨 끝까지 바쳐 싸울 것을 맹세하오니 부디 저희의 죄를 사하여 주시고 저희를 거두어 주시고 저희를 유혹에 빠지지 않게 하소서. 지하 시설, 방공호 같은 건가?
여긴 지하철역이야. 사람들을 태우고 거미줄처럼 도시를 누비던 교통수단이지. 뭐 다 지난 얘기지만 말이야. 잠깐이. 네이티브가 시체에 기생하고 있다니. 매복이야! 그날 이후 지성의 도시들은 모두 예비처럼 폐허가 됐어. 잘나신 분들은 우주로 달아나고 나가는 놈들은 이곳에 버려졌지.
마더스피어의 구원을 아직 기다리고 있는 거야.
이브 조심해. 전방에서 뭔가가 곧 무너지겠어.
뭐 살살 가고 놀았지.
뭐야?
함장이다.
여기야.
당신이 왜 이곳에?
설마 이브, 저건 알파 네이티브야.
Darkness washes over the land. Dun dun dun. The Dragon Lord has returned!
Fools! Your party of heroes can't stop me!
Who's ready to rickety roleplay? Spoiler? It's you, baby.
Once. Hold on a minute. I think I have to reload. Where's the internet go?
You ready, newbie?
Time for character sheets, baby! All right, trailer over. No end credit scene here. This ain't no super duper hero movie.
That's the DLC, so looks like they have a lot of looter shooter type concepts.
I'll let you in on a secret, but I'm a pretty big deal. Real big deal. We are getting out of the city, Homer. I promise we'll go somewhere that loves cats. No more fights. Clean air. Bright skies. What the actual fuck? Whoa, wait, stop! Whoa.
Internet. It's constant.
Where on earth is this?
Africa.
Who's there?
And technically not Earth. Well, not what you would call Earth, anyway.
I swear to God, asshole, show yourself!
Show myself. I've shown.
Where are you?
Right here, at the end of your arm. Oh, hello, yes.
Okay, so let me get this straight. I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Earth. I'm seeing freaking dragons, and oh yeah, I'm talking to a cop! Did I just do that?
We did.
I just moved it with my freaking mind! Yeah, okay, that is something I do now. I do magic, kill jacked up beats, I'll probably fly next.
No, you're just being ridiculous.
Oh, that's too far. Good to know there's a line. Our land suffers. You are the only hope we have. You're special.
You're the one that's planning on facing off with Sylar. Tanta Sylar is the strongest and most formidable of all the Tantas. You will be doing our land a great service by killing her.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho scheme.
Team Rainbow has been the shield against the worst global threats imaginable. Hostage situations, biological weapons, the threat of nuclear war. But now, we face the greatest terror our world has ever known. We want a shot at tomorrow. We will move as one. We will think as one. We will do whatever it takes. As one. Together, we enter the unknown. Together, we fight for our future. and no one will be left behind.
He's like completely covered in spores. It's like, okay.
It's coming for me. Whatever you do, don't go out in the dark. Stay in the light.
The Deerfest guests have already started to arrive. Just ran into one on the ferry. A famous artist, no less.
Alice? Alice? My wife Alice, she's missing.
Calm down, Mr. Winter.
Last night I woke up to a nightmare. I was missing a week. What had happened to me? I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it. With it, I could save myself. I could save Alice.
Carl Stuckey. Pleased to meet you.
My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
You do a lot more than write. Okay.
I knew it would become about you. Hey! Why? No!
Hello, Franklin.
What's up?
I gotta run now, okay?
All right, bye, babe.
It's lonely up here.
Oh, man, speed up.
Get us out of here. Roger that. Whoa. I think we're gonna literally make out like bandits on this.
There remains work yet undone. Critical work. People always decry the truth when forced to face it. Still your fear. I will be her salvation.
Mari!
The time is nigh. The world rests on the precipice of transformation. A new age will dawn.
Red sun.
guardians of the galaxy. You came here seeking truth. Rejoice. The matriarch wishes to share it with you. United in the light of belief, all suffering, all grief will end.
Oh! Ah! Ah!
What's wrong with you?
Oh, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Cease this at once.
Fine. Cosmo! How you doing, buddy?
Grand Unifier Raker, leader of the Church of Truths.
During that ritual with the priest, they kept talking about a promise.
It was like they were drinking funky juice or something. Or joined the cult. So let us investigate for you.
Always catch, Peter Quill, and not fun kind with Bob.
Hey, World Mind, long time no see.
The current probability of defeating the
Universal Church of Truth is
0.3%.
Is that bad? It sounds bad.
It is.
I hope you got.
It's not a lot. Yeah, hold on, folks. We're experiencing minor turbulence.
One hell of a speech plan, Peter.
That makes two of us.
I'll take you to the stars.
Follow me!
Show you who we are.
You're experiencing a lot of turbulence.
The Milano's on her way. Thanks, bud.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Vampires. You get it.
Welcome to the Eon program. Picture your perfect you. Your health, your enlightenment, your fashion. Not just freedom, we offer eternity.
Shut up.
Your esteemed visionaries believe the only thing missing from Black Reach is you.
The Visionaries. 8 geniuses who painted up a prison and named it Freedom. Locked us all in one repeating day. Their eternity. An endless party that you can never leave.
I am a storm rolling. Round and round we shall go.
Place is supposed to be unforgettable. A bunch of spaced-out science nerds, brainwashed cultists flinging bombs, whatever these guys are doing, all spewing Eon's bullshit. So how come I don't remember shit? This Party Island hangover is not my thing. My thing is answers. Who are these people? What do they want with me? And why is she always one step ahead? Come on, Colt. You gotta put this together. somebody built this place. Somebody's sending me these messages from the future, the past, whenever. And some jackass wrecked every plane out here. Is this a contest for them? Some type of experiment? How does this time loop work? Does anybody remember? Why is everyone wearing a mask? What the hell is Black Man's notes anymore? Who am I?
Colt, I want you to remember. I want you to remember why you came here.
Huh. Is that? Damn, I look good. I've imagined myself a way out. Gonna break this time loop before it breaks me.
Kaloy chunga Philip mea pura.
Mea J?
Pea muna nyawak. Ite yang azo ikuhu ni angage.
Ano si Lota din niya napet?
Che Oreti.
The biggest pirate treasure of all time is within our grasp.
The Tusk of Ganesh? Now that's not an easy find.
Last I checked, we're all a bunch of thieves digging around where we shouldn't.
Hang on!
Oh, crap!
Everyone obsessed with this treasure gets what they deserve.
Are you ready to seek your fortune?
I'm Herman Hulst, head of PlayStation Studios. PlayStation Studios, at its heart, is a diverse and passionate group of storytellers at our collective of AAA studios all across the globe. Everything we do is driven and inspired by storytelling. As creators, PlayStation 5 gives us the opportunity to push the boundaries of storytelling even further. Our world-class development teams at PlayStation Studios have already delivered such incredible gaming experiences for PS5, and we're only just getting started. As you'll see today with the lineup of exclusive games coming for PlayStation Studios, we're going to continue to drive innovation, advance gaming, while always embracing the legacy of PlayStation and creating games that matter, games that you're not going to find anywhere else. Enjoy.
At the dark end of the street, that's where we always meet. Hiding in the shadows while we don't feel alone. Living in the darkness, so high on you and me.
if they hit anything, that's why they like completely explode and disintegrate. Because of the way that the carbon
For as long as I can remember, I have looked for an equal. One who could push me. One who could surprise me. One who could even beat me. Yet all I found is disappointment. Will one of you finally give me what I desire? Yes, we will.
Sorry about it. That was my greatest weakness. Not being able to see into the future.
Time is running out. The prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming. My story doesn't end hiding in these woods. I should be out there, finding out who I am, who Loki is.
I will not allow you to pick a fight with gods.
I don't want to fight anymore. I just want answers.
And if those answers lead to war with Asgard,
maybe that's what Mother wanted.
we do not know what Mother wanted.
Well, I recognize that dour expression anywhere. Odin's got tricks up his sleeve we haven't dared to consider.
What if there was someone who could help us?
You mean Tyr, the old god of war in these lands, who is dead?
Well, for a dead man, Odin seemed pretty keen on seeing he wasn't found.
If he's out there, we gotta find him.
Come in. What in all yarn speed that happened to him?
We're trying to stop Ragnarok, to help people. And what if the only way to do that is war?
War is not the only way.
Stop thinking like a father for a moment and start thinking like a general.
No! You seem like a calm and reasonable person. Are you a calm and reasonable person? In moments of crisis, panic does nothing. Harness it. Let it serve you.
Tyr!
Are you coming with us?
You'll get your answer soon enough. Well, some of them.
Probably the coolest thing about that whole series is seeing how Kratos changes throughout the series. was like bold enough to kill the god in the first game. And it's like now it's like he's like, patience, son. You must use it to your advantage.
Unbelievable, yes, inconceivable. See myself as fairly reasonable, but at times I can be stubborn. So if I have to, I will rock the boat. I don't tend to take the easy road. That's just not the way I like to roll. True things probably unfeasible. I've done already 100-fold. 100-fold. It's probable that I might press the envelope. Ideas so astronomical. Sometimes I find them comical. Yeah, incomparable. Replay value phenomenal. Beat selection remarkable. Slowing me down impossible. I don't rock no rollies. I don't hang around no phonies. I always advance. Say I fail, you know I stand. Raising the bar, I gotta expand. Top of the charts, I'm setting up camp. Finding my stakes, I put on my tent. Shoot for the stars, they fall in my hand. Stick to my guns, I don't even flinch. Can push all you want, ain't moving an inch. I rarely miss, I'm happy I did it. Beat all the odds, I ain't got no limits. Can it be stopped? You paying attention? I ain't gotta say it. They know where my head is, they know where my head is.
Well, I recognize that dour expression anywhere.
And that was the PlayStation Showcase. We've got more info and updates coming right now, and I'm in fact joined by no less than PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst. Herman, really strong showing here from PlayStation Studios tonight, including an awesome new look at GT7 and finally a release date.
GT7 is coming in March, and I don't think fans are going to be disappointed with what Yamauchi-san and Polyphony have been working on. And what we're doing with GT7 is we're pulling from the entire history of the franchise, taking some of the best features into GT7. GT campaign, arcade missions, all that good stuff. And, I got a chance to play, and it just looks and plays sensationally. The haptics, the vibrations, you feel the rolls, the pull and the weight of the different cars. I'll tell you, the one thing that I personally really liked is the braking variations through the adaptive triggers. That really kind of makes you feel like you're an incredible racer. And for me, that's great.
Great to hear that about GT7. I can't wait to play that. But I also really wanted to talk about Insomniac. I mean, this is a studio that is absolutely on fire the last year, maybe 18 months with Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank, A Rift Apart, and now two big reveals tonight in the form of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine. It's kind of a shock. You work really closely with Insom, Herman, so what can you tell us about just why Insom gets so fired up about the Marvel Universe?
I mean, Sid, you said it, Insomniac are on fire. They've been just so productive. And I think the team in Insomniac, they're really always challenging themselves to raise the bar with their approach to storytelling and craftsmanship. And it's really evident in the consistently high quality of games that they've been delivering over the years. I think on top of that, they really prize collaboration amongst their team. And that collaboration that also extends to the way that they work with other PlayStation teams, but also their work with their great partners at Marvel. And that collaboration resulted in the amazing first two Marvel Spider-Man games. And I know that Insomniac are extremely excited to be further expanding the universe into Marvel Spider-Man 2 now. And they're also going to be raising the bar again, in terms of immersion, action, visual fidelity. I think Marvel Spider-Man 2 will be a spectacular showpiece for gaming. And they're also so thrilled to then bring gamers an emotional and a suspenseful journey into Marvel's Wolverine. I think that PlayStation fans are really going to be in for a treat over the next few years.
Very cool, very exciting times, and on multiple fronts. Tonight, we also got our first big look at God of War Ragnarok. Herman, what can you tell us about where Santa Monica Studio is going with this one?
Like many of the fans, I'm personally really invested in the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. We got to see in the trailer that there's some real tension brewing between them as Ragnarok approaches. So, I can't wait for players to see how that relationship between them evolves. And you gotta trust me when I say that Santa Monica Studio have prepared quite a few twists and turns for players as they set up the finale of the Norse saga in God of War Ragnarok.
We're going to get an update on God of War Ragnarok from Santa Monica Studio here in just a moment. But before you go, Herman, I want to get your take on Horizon Forbidden West. Now, we've learned that this one is coming out in February. I am sure that by this point you have played it. So what has jumped out to you? What can you tell us about the game?
I've had a chance to play the game on PS4 and PS5, and it looks great on both. For PS5, the level of detail on Aloy, her kit, her lighting, it's just exceptional. Even more amazing because the environments have so much going on too. From the ruins of San Francisco to those new underwater areas, everything just looks breathtaking, and it loads really fast because of the SSD. Plus, the combat in the game offers so much variety. It's all based on player choice. There's so many cool weapons and tools, and when you combine these together, that comes in really handy when you're dealing with the new machines. On PS5, the haptic feedback on the controller, I think in my mind really adds to the experience, when you're firing arrows and the other ammo. The team at Guerrilla, I know them so well. I'm super proud of them. They're creating something incredibly special, and I just can't wait for gamers to get the next chapter of Aloy's adventure in their hands.
Thanks for the update, Herman. We're joined now by Eric and Corey from Santa Monica Studio. And I wanted to check in with you two on the big announce we saw just a few minutes ago, God of War Ragnarok. We finally got our first big look at it. And actually, Eric, I wanted to start with you. You've been involved with every single God of War, including 2018's God of War. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Sid. I've been with the studio since 2004 in many different capacities, working with both Santa Monica and Ready at Dawn on the God of War franchise. And I don't know why, but they thought it'd be a good idea to say, hey, do you want to direct this one? And so that's what I'm doing. I'm directing God of War Ragnarok, or as Corey likes to call it, never heard of it. So that's the update on that.
So Eric, why the shift in leadership on God of War Ragnarok?
It's always been a tradition here at Santa Monica to change the directors across the games. We've had really good success with that. Corey's been the only repeat director, and rightfully so. He's pretty damn good at what he does. So that's kind of what it is.
The important thing for us is to be able to kind of get a fresh perspective each time, but also, a fresh pair of legs in the sense that you're really exhausted at the end of finishing one of these things. So you got to con somebody else into doing it, like him.
So Eric, what aesthetics or themes sort of resonate with you as a creative? I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is how do you see yourself leaving your fingerprints on God of War Ragnarok?
It's kind of the designer in me wants to answer one way, but as a director, you have to answer a different way. I think you have to learn how to jettison your own profession when you switch over to the director's role, which I'm sure Corey can understand. I mean, he kind of animated a little bit on God of War 2, and we kind of had to throw it all out, except for that sneaky backflip that Kratos has never done again that we left in. But that's the perk of being the director, I guess. But from my point of view, we want to tell a very heartfelt and epic story as, a father and son go on a journey, and they kind of struggle with holding on to stuff and letting go of things. It's a very difficult kind of human condition that we all deal with. And we kind of want to arrive at that by taking slices of life or family, drama, if you will, and kind of juxtapose that against the big Norse backdrop. And, at the end, we just want to have an ending that feels very, surprising yet inevitable based on all those things. But it's kind of, I'm from the Midwest, so slice of life, very common, mundane things are just as interesting as big world events. And so we try to collide those things together. It's, make an experience that's very worthy of the God of War name.
So with the game officially being called God of War Ragnarok, I guess it doesn't take a genius to think that perhaps Ragnarok factors into this game in some manner. Can you confirm that, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, you can't call the game God of War Ragnarok and not have Ragnarok happen in the game. So, it's going to happen. We're going to cap off the Norse series with it. And I think Chris Judge said it best in the announced trailer last year. Prepare yourselves.
The last game ended with a teaser of sorts for Thor. And I just got to know, was that Thor's voice we heard in the trailer just a few minutes ago?
That was definitely Thor's voice that we heard in the trailer. Thor is being played by Ryan Hurst, which you might know him from Sons of Anarchy. He played Opie, one of my favorite characters ever. And we're just delighted to have him come play in the God of War sandbox. And his take on Thor and our take visually on Thor is very different than the hunky Australian you might know. He's much closer to the Norse mythology version. He's this big, burly, almost hedonistic man-child, red hair, left-handed, just a little off-kilter than the Thor that a lot of people know right now. So I can't wait for people to experience more of that when the game's done.
We also heard the name Odin in tonight's trailer. So I imagine if we're going to experience Ragnarok, Odin's going to have to play a pretty big role here, right?
Definitely. I mean, Odin is the Allfather of all the realms, so he's going to show up when Ragnarok happens. We're very, very happy to have Mr. Richard Schiff come on to play Odin for us. You may know him as Toby from The West Wing. This was one that we never thought was going to happen. It was like kind of a shot in the dark, and he got back to us, and we walked him around the mocap volume, and he was just like, I've never done anything like this before. Let's do it. And so the kind of rest is history. So I can't wait for people to experience that and see how he factors in. And it's a very different take, again, much like Thor. You know, he's like a old man who's just kind of busy with his own things and doing whatever he wants. And he doesn't live in a castle or anything like that. So it's again, a different take, kind of what we do. We just take what's known and curveball it a little bit and, make it special.
We also saw a couple of new characters tonight. So what can you tell us about them?
Are you talking about the little squid? Oh no, you're talking about Tyr, the big guy. Yeah. He's the Norse god of war, and Kratos and Atreus have finally found him. We talked a lot about him in 2018, so we were like, well, you might as well show him to the people. And then the last character we saw at the trailer, like with the little wink and smile from Angerboda, she's one of the last remaining giants, and her story is pretty amazing and how it fits into the world of God of War. Tyr is being played by Ben Prendergast, who's been completely absorbed in the role, even though he is not a giant as Tyr is. And then Angerboda is being played by Leia De Leon Hayes, who's a complete treasure on set. She's been amazing. Watching her chemistry with the other characters has been amazing, and she's one of the last giants that's living. So we have those characters and a few more. There's a lot of different monsters you saw in there, and there's been so many talented people at the studio building this trailer and putting it together. I just want to give a shout out to the team. I love you guys. I wish you could be here doing this interview with me. I wish you were all behind me right now at the studio. That would have been completely amazing. And lastly, to our fans, we have a saying at the studio that we are fans of our fans, and I cannot wait to watch all the tweets, the messages, the reaction videos that you guys put out, and our team to be able to take that into heart and just get excited and hyped, and then use that to push us through to finish the game for you guys. So thank you very much.
Now, Corey, we haven't heard a whole lot out of you here tonight. So now that we know you're not directing God of War Ragnarok, I was hoping maybe you could give us a little clue about what you may or may not be working on next.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You'd like me to just spill the beans and tell you everything that's going on right now. We're actually doing a bunch of stuff. It's really exciting, all the things that we're doing, and you're tempted to know what is this, but I don't really have anything I can talk about right now specifically, mostly because we're really focused on God of War Ragnarok, that I am incredibly excited that I finally understand that that's what everyone was saying, God of War Ragnarok. I was way off. I was thinking it was something else that they were talking about. I think we'll wait to get any deeper into anything else until later. We'll talk again, Sid.
All right. Well, thank you, Corey, and thank you, Eric. And next up, we have Ryan Treadwell. He's the lead producer at Aspyr. And wouldn't you know, just a little while ago, we got the announcement of a remake for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. So, Ryan, I guess my question is this like a remaster of the original game, or what's going on here?
It's so much more, Sid. This is a complete remake of this beloved Star Wars story. For Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, we are rebuilding from the ground up while maintaining that integrity of story and character from the original.
So Ryan, how much of a remake are we talking about here? I mean, is this updating some graphics, adding some higher resolution modes?
The original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is a true classic and one of our favorite Star Wars stories ever. We want to honor that original story and make it as impactful for players today. In terms of the visuals, we have an opportunity to present this story with a much higher level of fidelity than was possible in the past, while making sure that we're being authentic to what players loved about that original game.
So we know Aspyr from bringing classic Star Wars games to modern consoles, but this is a much bigger project than anything the studio's tackled before. So what can you tell me about the team behind the game?
You're absolutely right. While Aspyr has enjoyed a great relationship with Lucasfilm Games through our work bringing classic Star Wars games to new audiences on modern platforms, this project is on a completely different level to anything we have done before. That's why we knew we had to assemble the right team to do this project justice. We put together a team full of industry veterans from fan-favorite RPGs, even including the original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It has been a really rewarding experience to assemble such a talented team to bring back an epic game. Of course, we're also working closely with the amazing teams at PlayStation and Lucasfilm Games. Together, we couldn't be more excited about what we'll be able to show you in the future. All of us are, of course, huge Star Wars fans too. One of the nice parts about building a team to make a big Star Wars game is the ability to instantly bond with all of the new people over your favorite aspects of Star Wars. We all have different Star Wars memorabilia behind us in every call, and it always sparks up a good conversation.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Very exciting stuff, and I'm definitely dying to see more of that one.
Thank you, Sid. It will be some time before we're ready to show more, but we're very excited about being able to reveal more in the future.
All right, and that's it for our show. You can catch up on all the big news on PlayStation.blog and check out all the trailers from tonight's PlayStation Showcase on YouTube. Thanks for watching.
PlayStation. The biggest games are going to be that God of War. God of War and the one... Okay, hold on a second. Come on. Change view. There we go. Okay. My impressions. Yeah, the Wolverine game, we didn't really get a chance to see a lot of actual gameplay. That's true. We basically just saw the trailer. I mean, if you're a Marvel fan, you're gonna like it. You're also gonna like the Guardians of the Galaxy game. You know, if you're a Star Wars fan, Dave KOTOR. What really stood out, yeah, as I'm saying, it's like God of War is pretty much the highlight. Like that. It's probably the best game among these. Yeah, they had some other games that seemed cool and interesting. As I was saying before, a lot of sci-fi influence. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay, anyway. A lot of sci-fi and aliens in the games, which I think is cool. Yeah, God of War, great. Grand Theft Auto is great. It's probably the two top games on the PS5 coming out. There was one game that I thought was interesting, and that was the one that had the girl going into the different animals. That one looks pretty great. Let's see if I can get the name of that game. Let's see, whereabouts was it? Yeah, I don't know. But it had great graphics. It had... I think they had gameplay footage actually in there, but it's like the concept. Yeah, they've got cell shading. Let me see if I can show you guys. Is it gonna work? It's the hotkey. It's like, come on. It's okay. Let's see, it's like... Alright, let me try it again. Yeah, it kind of, like, the art style almost reminds me of what's it called? Legend of Zelda. Yeah, it's not switching over. It's like, come on. Chia. That's what it's called. Yeah, it reminds me of Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. That's what it reminds me of in the art style. And yeah, it, I don't know, it looks pretty good, honestly. But yeah, those would be my top 3. God of War, obviously, Grand Theft Auto, and Chia. Chia. Reminds me of the old, like, Chia Pet commercial. Yeah. But anyways, that was the PlayStation Showcase 2021. Hope you all enjoyed watching. I don't know, for the heck of it, I can finish reading my chapter of Sapiens. Alright, hold on, guys. Alt 1. It's my secret code. There we go. Alt 1. Yeah, I might have to change the hotkey eventually because it's yeah, not working. Okay, but anyway. Alright, island after island fell to the VOC mercenaries. A large part of Indonesia became a VOC colony. VOC, yeah, I might have to skip ahead a little bit. Today, some people warn that 21st century corporations are accumulating too much power. True. I would say, alright, yeah, looks like they're doing landscaping outside. Anyway, I would say that if you look at what happened with big oil back in the day with John D. Rockefeller, like, that dude was crazy friggin' rich. And why is that? Because he had a oil company, and then he slowly started taking over the competition, buying them outright or running them out of competition. He basically eliminated the competition. It got so bad that they had to introduce what's known as antitrust legislation to curtail the power that big oil had, big steel back in the day. But that's like, history is repeating itself already with these big tech companies like Amazon, Facebook, Google. They're all friggin' huge. Yeah, they're friggin' big. Really, really big. And I'm not saying it's gonna create a Skynet situation or something like that, but it might. It might. Or not even the freaking government can get it under control. Okay. On a lighter note, let's see, where was I? Early modern history shows just how far that can go if businesses are allowed to pursue their self-interest unchecked. While VOC operated in the Indian Ocean, the Dutch West Indies Company, or WIC, plied the Atlantic. In order to control trade on the important Hudson River, WIC built a settlement called New Amsterdam on an island at the river's mouth. The colony was threatened by Indians and repeatedly attacked by the British, who eventually captured it in 1664. For you lay people in the audience, New Amsterdam is, I believe, the original colonies. It's like the East Coast. Yeah. The British changed its name to New York. The remains of the wall built by WIC to defend its colony against Indians and British are today paved over by the world's most famous street, Wall Street. Yeah, the one percenters will find themselves happy there. Among the rich, the wealthy, so-called rich folk. They're better than everyone else because they got more wealth. As the 17th century wound to an end, complacency and costly continental wars caused the Dutch to lose not only New York, but also their place as Europe's financial and imperial engine. The vacancy was hotly contested by France and Britain. At first, France seemed to be in a far stronger position. It was bigger than Britain, richer, more populous, and it possessed a larger and more experienced army. Yet Britain managed to win the trust of the financial system, whereas France proved itself unworthy. You're not worthy. As I recall, Britain had like the best navy in the world. Like the Royal Navy at one point in time was like uncontested. Like there was not a better sea power than the Royal Navy. But this might have been prior to that time. The behavior of the French crown was particularly notorious before the BIG. R.I.P. Yes, indeed. It was particularly notorious during what was called the Mississippi Bubble, the largest financial crisis of 18th century Europe. So that was like the equivalent of the 2008 financial crisis, but back then. The stock market crashed, but back then. That story also begins with an empire-building joint stock company. And money-hungry companies are usually the ones who start these giant crises from a historical perspective. Like the ones going, money, 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 money. They get too greedy, and then before you know it, the entire system collapses. In 1717, the Mississippi Company, chartered in France, set out to colonize the lower Mississippi Valley, establishing the city of New Orleans in the process. New Orleans. To finance its ambitious plans, the company, which had good intentions at the court of King Louis XV, sold shares on the Paris Stock Exchange. John Law, the company's director, was also the governor of the Central Bank of France. Miz. I had you on mute for a reason. Freaking scaring me. Okay, anyway. In 1717, the lower Mississippi Valley offered few attractions besides swamps and alligators. Yet the Mississippi Company spread tales of fabulous riches and boundless opportunities. French aristocrats. Aristocrats. Not the Disney version, okay? Not the aristocrats, the aristocrats. Businessmen and the stolid members of the urban bourgeoisie fell for these fantasies, and Mississippi share prices skyrocketed. Initially, shares were offered at 500 livres apiece. On the 1st of August 1719, shares traded at 2,750 livres. By the 30th of August, they were worth 4,100 livres, and on 4th September, they reached 5,000. It's like, if you control the supply, you control the demand. If you control the supply, you can charge whatever the heck you want. They still gotta buy it. They still gotta buy it. It's like, oh, too bad. It's 10,000 bucks now. Pay up. Euphoria swept the streets of Paris. People sold all their possessions and took huge loans in order to buy Mississippi shares. Everybody believed they discovered the easy way to riches. My way to riches is paid down there with donations. Donations for the knowledge I provide. The top secret intelligence that the watchers of my stream are privy to. Can it be seen, this map? Yeah, I think you guys can make it out. That's New Amsterdam in 1660. At the tip of Manhattan Island. That's what that is. The settlement protective wall is today paved over by Wall Street. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Looks like that is the case. A few days later, the panic began. Some speculators realized that the shared prices were totally unrealistic and unsustainable. They figured that they had better sell while the stock prices were at their peak. Buy low, sell high is the conventional wisdom. As the supply of shares available rose, their price declined. It's classic supply and demand. Classic supply and demand. It's like when it's scarce, people want to buy a lot of it. Like, oh, Storm Show. No one's heard about this. It's mine. It's all mine. It's like the most precious resource. People are going to want all for themselves. Before other people can find out about it. Okay. But it's the inverse is true. When there's a lot of stuff, then it's less precious. Yeah, when it's easy to find, people aren't trying to get as much of it. It was like what we saw last year with the coronavirus toilet paper shortage. It's like people just buy a bunch of it, and then when it can't be found, it's like demand for wet wipes skyrockets because people need alternatives. The panic began. They figured that they better sell. Price declined. When other investors saw the price going down, they also wanted to get out quick. The stock price plummeted further, setting off an avalanche. In order to stabilize prices, the Central Bank of France, at the direction of its governor, John Law, bought up Mississippi shares, but it could not do so forever. Eventually, it ran out of money. When this happened, the Controller General of Finance is the same John Law. I would say mistake. It's a mistake to centralize too much power in a single person. That's the reason why we have the system of checks and balances. You gotta spread it out. Because as we know, power corrupts. Okay, but anyway. Not even his financial wizardry can save the day. Not even his. The price of Mississippi shares dropped from 10,000 livres back to 1,000 livres. and then collapsed completely, and the shares lost every sow of their worth. By now, the central bank and the royal treasury owned a huge amount of worthless stock and had no money. Sad times indeed. Buddy, can you spare a dime? 'Cause I'm in the unemployment line. The big speculators emerged largely unscathed. They had sold in time. They were able to hop on those little boats off the Titanic. They were not the unlucky souls that sunk with the ship. The big speculators emerged unscathed, but small investors lost everything and many committed suicide. It's like, screw this crap. Gotta go. Good luck, everybody else. Still choosing to suffer. It's alright, I'll bear the burden. I care little about my own pain. The Mississippi Bubble was one of history's most spectacular financial crashes. The Royal French financial system never recuperated fully from the blow. The way in which the Mississippi Company used its political clout to manipulate share prices and fuel the buying frenzy caused the public to lose faith in the French banking system and in the financial wisdom of the French king. Louis the 15th. Louis XV found it more and more difficult to raise credit. This became one of the chief reasons that the overseas French Empire fell into British hands. While the British could borrow money easily and at low interest, France had difficulty securing the loans. And they had to pay high interest on them. Not fun. Not fun at all. In order to finance his growing debts, the King of France borrowed more and more money and at higher and higher interest rates. Eventually, in the 1780s, King Louis XVI, who had ascended to the throne on his grandfather's death, realized that half his annual budget was tied to servicing the interest on his loans, and that he was heading towards bankruptcy. Reluctantly, in 1789, Louis XVI convened the Estates Generale, a French parliament that had not met for a century and a half, in order to find a solution to the crisis. And thus began the French Revolution. Yeah, I do not know why it took so long for the French Parliament to convene. I guess that was a sign of system-based discrepancies. That was the sign of the failure of the system, right? It's like they didn't need to do anything. They didn't think they needed to do anything. Life was great for them and it sucked for everybody else. And then everybody else decided to finally do something about it. While the French overseas empire was crumbling, the British Empire was expanding rapidly. Like the Dutch Empire before it, the British Empire was established and run largely by private joint stock companies based in London Stock Exchange. The first English settlements in North America were established in the early 17th century by joint stock companies such as the London Company, the Plymouth Company, the Dorchester Company, and the Massachusetts Company. The Indian subcontinent too was conquered not by the British, but by the mercenary army of the British East India Company. It's like all the businesses were going nuts. They were going bonkers and running the world. This company outperformed even the VOC, the East India Company. From its headquarters in Leadenhall Street, London, it ruled a mighty Indian empire for about half a century. Sorry, not half a century, an entire century. Maintaining a huge military force of up to 350,000 soldiers. Not that humble of a force. That's quite a few soldiers, considerably outnumbering the armed forces of the British monarchy. Only in 1858 did the British Crown nationalize India along with the company's private army. Napoleon made fun of the British, calling them a nation of shopkeepers. Harsh words, Napoleon. Harsh. Very harsh, sir. Actually, he was a pretty capable military leader, as we know from our reading the War and Peace novel. Yet these shopkeepers defeated Napoleon himself. Eventually, yes. And their empire was the largest the world has ever seen. But they didn't stop there, no. They evolved, advanced, developed new ways of taking advantage of people. Alright, and in the next chapter, we will learn more about that in the name of capital. For the love of Monday. Alright, but that was in the Sapiens Yuval's book with commentary from y'all's truly Stormer of the Stormer Show fame. War and Peace. Sure, I'll read a chapter on stream. Why not? Okay, in the name of capital, where we left off on. Okay, War and Peace. First there's war, and then there's peace. We have a period of peace and then a period of war. And it continues on and on and on. Where is the book, though? It should be on here. If it's not, I can read it on my laptop, I think. The other one. Okay, I'm not finding it on my phone, guys, so I'm guessing I'm gonna have to read it from my laptop. Alright, hold on a minute. Hold on. Yeah, that piano, guys. I'm practicing it a lot. I'm trying to learn a song right now called Belade, as I said. Once I get it down, I can demonstrate for you guys at home. Stay tuned. Okay, One Piece, we were on chapter 9. It was past 1 o'clock when Pierre left his friend. It was a cloudless northern summer night. Yeah, not a cloud in the sky. Oh, man. Pierre took an open cab, intending to drive straight home. But the nearer he drew to the house, the more he felt the impossibility of going to sleep such a night. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. You cannot sleep. Can't sleep a wink. Got too much going on upstairs. The old attic. It was light enough to see a long way in the deserted street. It seemed more like morning or evening than night. I wonder why Leo is writing that. I think it has something to do with twilight. Like, light. Like there's a hint of daylight. Like, sunrise or sunset is a good example. It's like there's just a little bit of light. Whereas pure night, it's like completely black. On the way, Pierre remembered that Anatole Kurgan was expecting the usual set for cards that evening, after which there was generally a drinking bout, finishing with visits of a kind Pierre was very fond of. He enjoyed those types of visits. I should like to go to Kurgan's, thought he. But he immediately recalled his promise to Prince Andrew not to go there. Then, as happens to people of weak character, he desired so passionately once more to enjoy that dissipation he was so accustomed to that he decided not to go. Leo attributes antisocial behavior to weakness of character. Alright, Leo, alright. It's about balance, Leo, okay? Not everyone can be a party animal. Not everyone can be an extrovert. Not everyone can be loud and garish. Because otherwise you're going to have people like, Okay. Okay, where am I? The thought immediately occurred to him that his promise to Prince Andrew was of no account. Because before he gave it, he had already promised Prince Anatole to come to his gathering. It's like he couldn't make it to one party because he already said he was going to the other one. It's like, sorry, I can't go to your party because I'm already going to this one. He's already going to Prince Anatole's. Pierre is. Besides, thought he, all such words of honor are conventional things with no definite meaning. Especially if one considers that by tomorrow one may be dead, or something so extraordinary may happen to one that honor and dishonor will all be the same. Pierre often indulged in reflections of this sort, nullifying all his decisions and intentions. He went to Kurgan's. Yeah, pretty good writing on Leo's part. Yeah. They say death is the great equalizer. Everyone's different in life, but in death, we're all the same. And it seems like Pierre has the same idea, concept. Reaching the large house near the horse guards. Dang it. Why does that keep happening to me? Do not let me get DMCA'd. It's not my fault. The computer had a mind of its own, okay? It's not even this laptop that's doing it, it's that other one I have that I'm reading from. Okay, but anyway. Reaching the large house near the horse guard's barracks. Barracks are like where soldiers stay, in which Anatole lived. Pierre entered the lighted porch, ascended the stairs, and went in at the open door. There was no one in the anteroom. Empty bottles, cloaks, and overshoes were lying about. There was a smell of alcohol, and the sounds of voices and shouting in the distance. Yeah, it's like excellent imagery. Like I can picture me there, smelling the booze and hearing the chatter in the distance. Cards and supper were over, but the visitors had not yet dispersed. Pierre threw off his cloak and entered the first room, in which were the remains of supper. A footman, thinking no one saw him, was drinking on the slide that was left in the glasses. Yeah, the footman. From the third room came sounds of laughter. Ha 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 ha. Shouting of familiar voices, the growling of a bear, and general commotion. Not a hubbub, hullabaloo. Some 8 of 9 young men were crowded anxiously round an open window. 3 others were romping with a young bear, one pulling him by the chain and trying to set him at the others. Yeah, in Russia they're a lot more familiar. I'd say in Russia they're more friendly with bears than here in the States. I think the California grizzly dang near went extinct. Yeah. But yeah, here he's trying to have the bear go after his friends. Like they used to do in the olden days. For fun. I bet 100 on Stevens, shouted one. Mine no holding on, cried another. It's like whoever can successfully get away from this bear before it eats him alive wins. I bet on Dolokhov, cried a third. Kurgan, you part our hands. There, leave Bruin alone. Here's a bet on. It's like, leave the poor animal alone, dudes. Here's some coin. At 1 drought or he loses, shouted a fourth. Jacob, bring a bottle, shouted the host, a tall, handsome fellow who stood in the midst of the group without a coat, and with his fine linen shirt unfastened in front. Dang, so it's like this guy like goes out in the snow without his shirt on. He's like, what's up? You think this snow bothers me? It's nothing. The cold I do not feel. The cold is in my heart. That is the only place it is cold. It is warm everywhere else. Okay, Voskov. Wait a bit. You fellows. Here is Petya. Good man, cried he, addressing Pierre. Another voice from a man of medium height, with clear blue eyes. So he's like an Aryan. Those beautiful blue eyes. I do not have. Mine are quite brown and green. Particularly striking among all those drunken voices by its sober ring. Cried from the window. Come here. Pot the bets. This was Dolokhov, an an officer of the Semenov Regiment, a notorious gambler and duelist who was living with Anatole. Pierre smiled, looking about him merrily. I don't understand. What's it all about? Wait a bit. He's not drunk yet. They also love vodka in Russia. Someday I can go and try some of the authentic Russian vodka. A bottle here, said Anatole, taking a glass from the table. He went up to Pierre. First of all, you must drink. To country. Pierre drank one glass after another, looking from under his brows at the tipsy guests who were again crowding around the window and listening to their chatter. Anatole kept on refilling Pierre's glass while explaining that Dolokhov was betting with Stevens, an English naval officer, that he would drink a bottle of rum sitting on the outer ledge of the third floor window with his legs hanging out. He can do it. Doesn't take much. Go on. You must drink it all, said Anatole, giving Pierre the last glass. I won't let you go. No, I won't, said Pierre, pushing Anatole aside. Say, come on, what are you trying to do? Make a drunk out of me? Take me out with alcohol? He went out to the window. Dolokhov was holding the Englishman's hand and clearly and distinctly repeating the terms of the bet, addressing himself particularly to Anatole and Pierre. Dolokhov was of medium height, with curly hair and light blue eyes. He was about 25. Like all infantry officers, he wore no mustache, so that his mouth, the most striking feature of his face, was clearly seen. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more common in Russia to have like big bushy mustaches, like the Yosemite Sams. Howdy, partner. I don't know if I'll ever be able to grow one like that. If I like let my mustache grow out, maybe at least a couple months, maybe. But yeah, I've never let it go that long. The lines of that mouth were remarkably finely curved. The middle of the upper lip formed a sharp wedge and closed firmly on the firm lower one. And something like two distinct smiles played continually round the two corners of the mouth. This, together with the resolute, insolent intelligence of his eyes, produced an effect which made it impossible not to notice his face. You just had to see it. Dolokhov was a man of small means and no connections. Yet, though Anatole spent tens of thousands of rubles, Dolokhov lived with him and placed himself on such a footing that all who knew them, including Anatole himself, respected him more than they did Anatole. Dolokhov could play all games and nearly always won. Who doesn't love a winner? It's like skill. Sometimes it speaks louder than connections. Yeah, it's like you just gotta play the game. See who's the best at the game. Connection or wealth is what I meant to say. Okay, where am I? He nearly always won, Dolokhov. However much he drank, he never lost his clear-headedness. We have that much in common. Both Kuragin and Dolokhov were at the time notorious among the rakes and scapegraces of Petersburg. Petersburg. The bottle of rum was brought. The window frame which prevented anyone from sitting on the outer sill was being forced out by 2 footmen, who were evidently flurried and intimidated by the directions and shouts of the gentlemen around. Anatole, with his swaggering air, strode up to the window. He wanted to smash something. Pushing away the footman, he tugged at the frame but could not move it. He smashed a pane. "You have a try, Hercules," said he, turning to Pierre. So we know from the depiction that Pierre is physically big. He comes from the foreign university, introverted in nature. Pierre seized the crossbeam, tugged, and wrenched the oak frame out with a crash. Dang. Take it right out. I don't think that I'm holding on, said Dolokhov. Is the Englishman bragging? Is it all right? Said Anatole. First rate, said Pierre, looking at Dolokhov, who, with the bottle of rum in his hand, approaching the window from which the light of the sky, the dawn merging with the afterglow of sunset, was visible. Dang. Again, excellent writing. It's like almost like a contrast is created here by Leo. It's like the dawn merging with the afterglow of sunset. It's like the dawn is the start of the day. The dusk is the end. The sunset is the end. Maybe he's forming a comparison between the two, twilight and dusk. Yeah, maybe. Dolokhov, the bottle of rum still in his hand, jumped onto the windowsill. Listen, cried he, standing there and addressing those in the room. All were silent. I bet 50 imperials. He spoke French that the Englishman might understand him, but he did not. But he did not speak it very well. I bet 50 imperials. Or do you wish to make it 100? Added he, addressing the Englishman. No, 50, replied the latter. I can try to get into my French accent. Ha ha ha. 50. Ha ha ha. Alright. 50 imperials. That I will drink a whole bottle of rum without taking it from my mouth. Sitting outside the window on this spot. He stooped and pointed to the sloping ledge outside of the window. And without holding on to anything. Is that right? Like, I bet I can drink the entire bottle sitting there. Quite right, said the Englishman. Anatole turned to the Englishman and, taking him by one of the buttons of his coat and looking down at him, the Englishman was short, began repeating the terms of the wager to him in English. It's like, you gotta drink it all. You get 50 imperials if you can do it. If you can't, they're mine. Yeah. Wait, cried Dolokhov, hammering with the bottle on the windowsill to attract attention. Wait a bit, Kutugin. Listen, if anyone else here does the same, I'll pay him 100 imperials. Do you understand? He's like trying to get out of it now. He's like, He's like, how about that guy does it? And he gets 100 then. I guess it depends on how big the ball of rum is too. Like, could be dangerous. The Englishman nodded, but gave no indication whether he intended to accept his challenge or not. Yeah, it might be dangerous. Anatole did not release him, and though he kept nodding to show that he understood, Anatole went on translating Dolokov's words in English. A thin young lad, a hussar of the lifeguards, who had been losing that evening, climbed on the windowsill, leaned over, and looked down. Oh, oh, oh! Oh, oh, oh! He muttered, looking down from the window at the stones of the pavement. Shut up, cried Dolokhov, pushing him away from the window. The lad jumped awkwardly back into the room, tripping over his spurs. Placing the bottle on the windowsill where he could reach it easily, Dolokhov climbed carefully and slowly through the window and lowered his legs. Pressing against both sides of the window, he adjusted himself on his seat, lowered his hands, moved a little to the right and then to the left, and took up the bottle. He's like, okay, I'm doing this. I fear nothing. Say it. I fear nothing. Louder. I fear nothing. Alright, where was I? Anatole brought 2 candles and placed them on the windowsill, though it was already quite light. Dolokhov's back in his white shirt, his curly head, were lit up from both sides. Everyone crowded to the window, the Englishman in front. Pierre stood smiling but silent. He's like, this guy might be about to drink himself to death. For all I know. Better watch. Everyone crowded to the window. One man older than the others present suddenly pushed forward with a scared and angry look and wanted to seize hold of Dolokov's shirt. He's like, dang, you fools! Get away from him! You're stirring up trouble. You dang riffraff. You young barbarians. I say, this is folly. Hell be killed, said this more sensible man. Anatole stopped him. Don't touch him. You'll startle him and he'll be killed. Eh? What then eh? Dolokhov turned around and, again holding on with both hands, arranged himself in his seat. On his seat, sorry. If anyone comes meddling again, said he, emitting the words separately through his thin, compressed lips, I'll throw him down there. Now then. He can't lose. Yeah, he can't lose. Saying this again, he turned around, dropped his hands, took the bottle and lifted it to his lips, threw back his head, and raised his free hand to balance himself. Everyone else shouting, chug, chug, chug. One of the footmen who had stopped to pick up some broken glass remained in that position without taking his eyes from the window and from Dolokov's back. Anatole stood erect with staring eyes. She's like, can he do it? Will he? The Englishman looked on sideways, pursing up his lips. The man who had wished to stop the affair ran to the corner of the room and threw himself on a sofa with his face to the wall. He's like, I can't look. I can't look. I won't look. I've seen too much already. Yeah. He's seen too much. All were still. Oh, seek it a little bit. Pierre hid his face, from which a faint smile forgot to fade through his features, now expressed horror and fear. All were still. Pierre took his hands from his eyes. He's like, is it safe? Is it safe now? Yeah, he took his hands away. Dolokhov still sat in the same position, only his head was thrown further back till his curly hair touched his shirt collar. And the hand holding the bottle was lifted higher and higher and trembled with the effort. The bottle was emptying perceptibly and rising still higher, and his head tilting yet further back. Why is it so long? Thought Pierre. It seemed to him that more than half an hour had elapsed. Suddenly, Dolokhov made a backward movement with his spine, and his arm trembled nervously. It's like, this was sufficient to cause his whole body to slip as he sat on the sloping ledge. As he began slipping down, his head and arm wavered still more with the strain. One hand moved as if to clutch the windowsill, but refrained from touching. He refrained from touching it. It's like hard to describe. It's like he went to grab it, but it's like he doesn't. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes you can tell this, like when people drink a lot, it's like they lose their balance and they grab onto you or the wall. Let's see, where's he though? Pierre covered his eyes again, and he thought he would never open them again. Suddenly, he was aware of a stir all around. He looked up. Dolokhov was standing on the windowsill with a pale but radiant face. He's like, "Ha-ha! I am victorious! Dolokhov drinks it again. Try that on for size." It's empty. He threw the bottle to the Englishman, who caught it neatly. Dolokhov jumped down. He smelt strongly of rum. "Well done, fine fellow, well done. There's a bet for you. Devil take you. Like, darn you. I thought you were gonna fail. I thought you weren't going to do it. Darn you, I lost my money." The Englishman took out his purse and began counting out the money. Dolokhov stood frowning and he did not speak. Pierre jumped upon the willow. Not the willow. He jumped upon the windowsill. Jumped up there. "Gentlemen, who wishes to bet with me?" "I'll do the same thing." He's like, "Hi. By morning, I'll be a millionaire. I'll be a millionaire or dead. Either one. Either one's fine." He suddenly cried, "Even without a bet. There. Tell them to bring me a bottle. I'll do it. Bring a bottle! Let him do it. Let him do it," said Dolokhov, smiling. I thought Dolokhov was the one saying that. Oh, I guess it was Pierre saying that. Yeah, Pierre is the one. Yeah, Pierre's trying to one-up him. Okay. Yeah, Pierre's trying to one-up him now. And Dolokhov's encouraging him. What next? Have you gone mad? No one would let you. Why you go giddy even on a staircase? Exclaimed several voices. Yeah, apparently several people think that about Pierre. I'll drink it. Let me have a bottle of rum. shouted Pierre, banging the table with a determined and drunken gesture and preparing to climb out of the window. Like, come on, hit me. I can do it. They seized him by his arms, but he was so strong that everyone who touched him was sent flying. Dang! Dang, Pierre. He's like freaking gaslighting, like, whew. Get away from me! Don't touch me! I'll do it. Come on. No, you'll never manage him that way, said Anatole. Wait a bit, and I'll get round him. It's like, let me work my charms. Let me work some magic on him. Listen, I'll take your bet tomorrow, but now we're all going to... Come on then, cried Pierre. Come on. We'll take Brune with us. And he caught the bear, took it in his arms, lifted it from the ground, and began dancing around the room with it. These freaking Russians. And that's the end of chapter 9. Okay. Chapter 10. Stay tuned for mañana. We'll see. Let's see, I might even have a quick demo to leave us off on. Some people might consider this animal abuse in modern day in time. Yeah, if I don't have an example, I don't have an example. Yeah, maybe Jimbo and Jim is the best example. Alright, let's see, can I get it? Every time. There we go. Okay.
Let that spin around good on me like normal.
Kinda like this. But I assume from the text that Pierre is bigger than the bear. That's what I assume.
Where are you going?
But just goes to show that there's no limit to animal husbandry. Well, maybe there are. It's never a bad idea to be nice to animals. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Okay? Love and respect nature, because, as many have said, we are this planet's keepers. Someone said, like, I don't know, I think I'm forgetting. It's like, caregivers, I think is the expression I'm looking for. Yeah, it's our responsibility to take care of animals. Alright, there we go. Alright, thank you for watching, guys. Technology, I'm trying to figure it out. In the meantime, thank you for watching the show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share the stream. Give me a follow. Donations are always welcome and appreciated. I haven't been streaming a long time or for a lot of time, but I'd say stay tuned, because yeah, try to have more content to show you guys on the stream. But anyway, thank you for watching. Till next time.